about to go to Alaska or some shit, but they ain't got enough, hair stores over there, so I can't go. No. I might have to. I don't know where I'm gonna have to go, but somewhere, not Iowa, but somewhere. I'll figure it out.
You see Children of the Corn, don't go to Iowa.
I don't know. I see an update prompt and I just update because I wouldn't want to be, left in the past with an old version of software that doesn't work properly.
I think I stopped updating Audacity like 5 years ago or something.
Yeah,
I don't even know how behind I am.
There's zero actual reason to, because it's like the most bare bones software you can find, but
yeah. I just need to press R. That's all it needs to do is just press R, record. Okay. I'm going to get it started with a little bit of this. Has absolutely nothing to do with the show, but it's just a great sound to share with everyone at the top. That is Jane's Addiction, I think former lead vocalist Perry Farrell. I think that band is now done.
Yeah, I don't think they exist anymore. I guess that does make him the former lead person for them, but I don't think they're reuniting again.
I really have not looked into that situation at all, but that sound is just the best sound. I just love it.
That's music. That's music to you.
Yeah, you can. I'm going to start using that all the time. Every show I play.
Yeah, you should incorporate that as a sample, like subtly. I don't know how you can incorporate that sample subtly, but maybe you can add some atmospheric.
Just take a chunk out of the middle and just loop that with like some thick reverb, and then you got kind of a drone. Maybe you could pitch it down a little bit. Yeah. Just keep that going for several minutes. Shout out to the Jane's Addiction guitar tech, who I guess kept the audio of that live show and played it at some radio show in Boston. I didn't look that much into that situation either. But
yeah, that's a pretty cool move. I don't know, there's another video of them, of Perry attacking Dave Navarro very feebly. I mean, it wasn't much of a fight.
Yeah. And Dave Navarro is like a god, He's got the body of a Greek god. Anyway, this is Rock Hard Caucus. Not a podcast about Jane's Addiction or Perry Farrell or Dave Navarro, but a podcast about Iowa and the politics of Iowa and sometimes other stuff in Iowa.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Perry Farrell, this isn't having to do with Iowa, but Perry Farrell is apparently a avowed Zionist and was trying to start Lollapalooza in Tel Aviv.
Oh. I don't like that. Well, I picked out a few articles and stuff for us to talk about for this week's show. The first piece of news that I thought was interesting involves January 6th, everyone's favorite event of the... Well, shit, that's almost 4 years ago now. God damn.
Yeah.
It feels like just
Mark
yesterday.
Your calendars for January 6th, 2025.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Is that I don't know.
Well, it might be a different date. Yeah, you're right. But
it's probably a different date. But yeah, the certification of the election, it'll probably be a good one again.
But they'll probably go crazy on January 6th too, just for symbolic reasons.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like multiple days of festivities. And if he wins, then it's going to be...
It is going to be January 6th again, apparently.
Oh, okay. I wonder if they did that on purpose, specifically so there wouldn't be multiple days of events.
Yeah. Yeah, additional security will be in place for the January 6th, 2025 certification of the presidential vote. I would imagine so, yeah. probably a good idea, I guess. Anyway, January 6th is relevant this week because a prominent Iowan who was part of the January 6th party, the insurrection as they call it, Leo Kelly, has been mistakenly released from prison, which I think is interesting. Maybe I'll show you this, Evan. I found a video about this that was on Iowa News Now, the CBS TV news station. They had a lawyer on their show to discuss Leo Kelly being released by accident from federal prison. Again, I don't understand like why that happened, or like I don't know, like prison seems like they don't want to let people out of there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'd be kind of nice if they let more people out on accident.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
people who deserve to be let out. You know, there's been some pretty horrible injustices being done in the prison system. But yeah, let's ask a lawyer. Tom Riley Law Firm, that's a real high-powered firm, you know. Tom Riley used to run Cedar Rapids.
Yep. So we're hopefully going to get some, we'll be enlightened on the situation by a real lawyer. Lawyers are smarter than us. They know why these things might have happened. So here's a lawyer on TV news.
By Tom Riley Law Firm.
Welcome back. Sarah Riley joins us once again for our Ask the Lawyer segment. Now, earlier we mentioned the gentleman from Cedar Rapids who was arrested, convicted, and sentenced for his role in the insurrection on Capitol Hill.
And just for anyone who maybe doesn't remember, Leo Kelly is the guy. He's like a bald guy who was in January 6th, and he shortly after January 6th, he did an interview with like an anti-abortion organization that was, I wouldn't say viral, but I saw it. I saw Leo Kelly do an interview about how he hates abortion shortly after he was in the Capitol. Anyway, more from this lawyer.
On January 6th, was accidentally released from prison. I got to ask, how often does this happen?
It doesn't happen often, but more than it ever should.
Wrong. It should happen every day. So right off the bat, I'm disagreeing with the lawyer.
Occasionally, people have been released because they have a similar name to somebody else. And usually the people who are the victims of the crime the person has committed aren't usually too happy to get a call saying, hey, guess what? You know that guy that's supposed to spend the rest of his life in prison? Right now we're going to be looking for him. So it happens.
How would you feel if you got a call like that?
I don't know. I've never been a victim of a serious crime, thankfully. But I can't imagine being too retributive. You know, like I don't think I would care.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
Because like I don't think that prison fucking helps people. Like,
right.
Yeah, it wouldn't really make a difference.
I love the picture she's painting there, though. You know, every once in a while, somebody will have a similar name to someone else, and they'll get released from prison because of that. Not
is that
even
what
the
happened
same
here?
name, but a similar name.
Yeah. Our prison system is actually like extremely fucking incompetent. I mean,
well,
it is, and it's good that she's shining light on it, but
happens, but it is fairly rare. This was not a wrong name thing that sometimes has happened before.
Okay.
This was a situation where one of the crimes he was convicted of, the U.S. Supreme Court has said, no, you can't charge them with this crime, so that crime is overturned. Thing is he wasn't only convicted of one crime. And it sounds like, from what I've been able to gather, is the federal penitentiary thought, oh, okay, his conviction has been overturned, therefore we have no right to hold him, and they let him out. There should have been a hearing before they did that. That way the judge could resentence him, which is going to happen. They know where he is. This isn't like a situation where a murderer has gotten out, and I'm not defending what he was accused of.
Yeah, they know where he is for now. Leo, you may want to, I don't know. I don't know if I should be suggesting that you flee, but like, come on. You let him out. Like, yeah, just, hey, my bad.
Yeah, it's no takesies backsies for sure.
I'd say, yeah.
I think, you're out on a technicality, then God bless them, you know?
Yeah, do we need to be dragging people back? No. Okay, she's not calling him a murderer, but she's not defending what he did. I like how she kind of talks around this.
Convicted of, but it's not like a situation where somebody who's convicted of first-degree murder has gotten out and knows he shouldn't be out and is hiding. I mean, so they know where he is. He will have a new sentencing, and then depending upon what the judge says, he will either serve some more time or the judge will say, well, 11 months or whatever is enough.
Well, and I imagine even if...
Yeah, and he served 11 months of, I think, a 3-year sentence.
Yeah, I think 30 months. So, like, he already served over a third of it, which...
Did I just do a thumbs up on Zoom?
I don't know. Did you? No, I didn't.
I didn't touch anything, but I saw a thumbs up show up. Anyway, yeah, here.
You got the gestures going? Nah.
I don't fucking know. Sorry. Anyway... Yeah, it just seems like bullshit. Like, they let him out, and it's like, oh, sorry, we got to re-sentence you. Like, come on, man. Just...
Well, yeah, and she even acknowledges that the judge might just be like, you know what, 11 months is good. Which, like, honestly seems like the most likely outcome, but not a lawyer. Not a judge.
Sure.
If he was wrongfully let out by mistake, there is some parole system out there that still requires to keep tabs on him, and that requires him to check in so that, as you said, they always know where he is. And then if they say, okay, you need to report to prison by this date, they can make sure that he does that.
Yeah, and in his case, what they're doing is the federal government says, okay, let's have a resentencing hearing because one of the convictions has been overturned.
I just want to note that the TV news anchor, I think his name's Nick Weig, he has a ray gun mug on the desk that says America needs journalists. Just something to think about as we watch and listen to this segment. Do we?
Everyone who's convicted of that one crime, they had it overturned. So let's see how much time he should have for I can't remember how many other convictions he has. Let's say 7, 5, whatever. So they go and they have a rehearing, sentencing hearing, and then it just depends on what the judge does, on whether he goes back and serves some additional time or if the judge gives him a little leniency and says, okay, you've served enough time.
Did they prep for this at all? She doesn't even know the facts of the case?
Yeah, she has zero involvement with the case. Like,
what's the point of this?
She's just a lawyer. I mean, lawyers like to talk.
Yeah, okay.
Especially on TV. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame her at all. You know, you get the opportunity to go on the illustrious Iowa News Now and just sort of bullshit about a big current event. Hey, I'd take it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a big current event. I don't know who's really up in arms about this right now.
We have a capital insurrectionist at large right now, Evan. All of us are in danger. Leo Kelly could be outside of your house right now.
Yeah.
Or maybe my parents' house, because I think he's from Cedar Rapids. And who knows? He might storm he's going to storm the Five Seasons Center. Mm-hmm. He's going to go in there without permission.
He might break into your office and take some pictures of some random documents and celebrate.
That's pretty
much the extent of his crime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because he was just over, I believe, a third of the way through his sentence.
Yeah.
Now, again, this kind of goes to the scope of just how large of an investigation this has been. I believe one of the largest in FBI history, just because of the sheer number of people that were charged. And it all.
How funny is that this is like one of the biggest things the FBI has ever done?
Yeah.
Maybe the biggest thing that they're willing to acknowledge publicly, the biggest FBI investigation.
Yeah. I gotta set an example.
Right.
Don't do it again.
Also goes into the massive bureaucracy that we see both on the federal and the state level when it comes to keeping tabs on everybody, both in and outside of the prison system.
Sure. And as far as, it is massive in the sense of for one district court to have that many people. Nationwide, it was a drop in the bucket. You're talking about thousands of people, but thousands of people to be incarcerated nationwide, even in the federal system, is a pretty small amount, even though it was from one specific event.
Dang.
And And how does that make you feel? That a massive investigation involving thousands of people being incarcerated in federal prison is actually just a small little drop in the bucket.
It's
when
really
you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, we could put a lot more people in prison, like.
And we do. I mean, that's what she's really saying, is that actually, this is pretty much nothing. I mean, we've got millions in federal prison as it stands.
But they made a mistake here. I mean, you're not supposed to let people out before the court has said, yes, he should be freed. And the court, is my understanding, did not say that. It's just the people in the prison misunderstood the significance of the court ruling.
Just another interesting chapter in this unprecedented situation. Sarah, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions for Sarah, be sure to send your question to our newsroom email, news@iowasnewsnow.com. As always, this segment is sponsored by the Tom Riley Law Firm.
Oh, wait, they sponsored the segment. Now that's
Hell
interesting.
Yes.
Another interesting chapter, as the man said there. Right, so this was national news. There's an AP article about this. The Federal Bureau of Prisons mistakenly released an Iowa man from custody. He was freed last Thursday after an appeals court agreed to throw out one of his convictions.
He got a big gift from the Supreme Court. They're like just out here trying to help Trump, trying to help anyone who supported Trump. Yeah. January 6th rioters, trying to give him a little assist.
Here, this is the statement from the Bureau of Prisons. This is their statement to the Associated Press. Kelly was inadvertently released last week after a misinterpretation of a court order. The Bureau's statement doesn't elaborate on the reason for the error, but it says that Kelly, age 39, reported to a probation officer as instructed and remains free while awaiting a resentencing hearing. So, I wonder if the people in charge of the prisons also maybe have some sympathy with the guys like Leo Kelly.
Yeah.
They seemed pretty quick to let him out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might have something to do with it. I could see that.
It was the charge of obstructing an official proceeding is the one that got thrown out. And let me see. The charge of obstructing an official proceeding must include proof that defendants tried to tamper with or destroy documents. And what they've got on Leo Kelly is that he entered the Capitol, made his way to the Senate floor, approached the dais where Mike Pence had just presided over the Senate, and he took videos of documents on desks, including a ballot sheet, handwritten notes, and a script, before police cleared the rioters out of the chamber. So that doesn't sound like tampering or destruction of documents, just in there taking pictures like a tourist, basically.
Damn. My dad got a cease and desist from Tom Riley's law firm back in the
Really?
90s. This is like a pre-Rock Hard Caucus. This is like where I came from. But there is a finance commissioner in Cedar Rapids named Ole Munson who got arrested for, I think he had like a duffel bag with a gun and a bunch of marijuana in it. I think it was like at the Cedar Rapids courthouse where he got arrested, or it was like some official business or something.
I definitely remember that name.
Yeah, it was old news now, but my dad we had cedarrapids.net, our little dial-up ISP that also let you host a website. And so my dad made a website to make fun of Ole Munson and like Photoshop him into like Gazette article, like photos with like guns and weed and stuff. And then, he got a cease and desist from Tom Riley's law firm, who was, I guess, representing Ole Munson in the case, and they told him to knock
90s,
it off.
He said?
This is like 1998. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So he immediately took it down, which maybe he could have got some like free speech.
I would fight
pro bono.
That. It's my First Amendment right to have a website making fun of someone.
Yeah, but when you have the most powerful law firm in town cracking down on you, then maybe it was the right decision.
Yeah. Do you know what the URL would have been for that website?
I tried finding it before, but I think the issue was that he didn't get permission from the Gazette to use their photos or some shit.
Sure.
So I think he might have been, I don't know. They didn't want that website up, whoever it was, the Gazette or Ole Munson.
Yeah, I'm sure you could get away with that now. These days, that would be just a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So I thought, I don't think it's a big deal that Leo Kelly has been mistakenly released from prison. He's certainly not the most deserving incarcerated person in a federal prison to be released. Lots and lots of other people are incarcerated in federal prison who should not be there. Why don't we let them out too? By the way, Missouri executing an innocent man this week. That's big news.
Yeah, that's
evil shit.
Horrible. Yeah, I hate that story. I hate the death penalty. I am kind of peeved, and I understand because he, by all appearances, seems to have been innocent, but I don't think that his innocence even matters. Like,
no,
I don't think
I
that
agree.
anyone
should
should
kill
be.
anyone. Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of don't like the angle where people are like, well, he was innocent, so he definitely shouldn't die. And it's like, no, like, government should not be fucking killing anyone under any circumstances, even if they did it.
Agree, totally. But yeah, this is a particularly egregious example because, he's been in prison for decades and, like, all of the evidence presented is very questionable.
Yeah.
The evidence of his guilt. Even if he wasn't innocent, like you said, should not be killing him based on how flimsy the evidence against him is. The current DA, I think it was, said, yeah, we should not be killing this guy. And then they just fucking did it anyway.
Yeah. And I think the victim's
that even went to the
family.
Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Victim's family also said he should not be killed. Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
So the Supreme Court, on one hand, we just talked about them. They said that all the January 6th rioters, we cannot charge them with obstruction of an official event, which seems kind of cut and dry that they did obstruct an official event, to be honest. And on the other hand, yes, you should kill this man who you do not have convincing evidence committed this crime decades ago. Yes, it's within the right of the state of Missouri to execute a man for no good reason. And there is no good reason, to reiterate.
Yes.
The state should not be executing anyone. Okay, so I wanted to see maybe what the people of Iowa thought about Leo Kelly's release. So I went to the source of all, the average person's opinions, where the public square, basically, the KCRG Facebook comments. So I just wanted to see what the people thought. Here's a comment from someone named Jace. KCRG posted an article about Leo's release, and the comments from Jace. Sounds like it's the court's fault. Why would he deny getting out early? It's like, yeah, I don't know if you even can, right? Like,
yeah.
if they tell you you're getting out, I don't think you can say, no, keep me in here.
Yeah, well, you can take other actions to ensure that you're going to go back, but...
That's true. Yeah.
Or, yeah, you can take actions in prison to extend your sentence if you really wanted to stay. But yeah, I don't think I would do that. No,
yeah. Any path out, you take it. Someone named Ron, it seems like he was replying to someone else, but... Oh, here. Actually, let me read this other comment first. Connor says, the purpose of the courts is a cut and dry black and white state of affairs. The court's purpose is decide who is guilty or not. If he was in jail and has been released, that is the court saying in no questionable terms, black and white, that he has served his time, was guilty, and is now free. The court didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't understand how you could possibly think that the courts are in terms of black and white. I mean, yeah, there's specific statutes and sentencing guidelines and stuff, but it's very much not a black and white thing. That's kind of the reason we have courts in the first place.
Sure, yeah, it's not just like a computer deciding guilt or innocence. And yeah, I think there's some willful ignorance here, because if you observe or even read about a single court proceeding, you will understand, oh, this is not a black and white objective system at all.
No.
This is more of a game than anything. Can you convince a jury of your peers of one conclusion or another? If you can just retrial people you've let go, why not retrial everybody you've let go? Why let him go in the first place if he had time to serve? Yes, Connor, that is, I think, the reason this article exists, is because people are wondering. This is a breach of double jeopardy. And while I would like to see a criminal be punished, what's a terrible precedent for America? I think that's supposed to be sets. Yeah, sets a terrible precedent for America. So a breach of double jeopardy, perhaps one of the most misunderstood concepts in American law. Double jeopardy is what exactly? How would you explain it to me?
If you are like acquitted of any particular crime, then they can't try you over the same crime again.
Right. And I know a lot of people have said that means you can commit the same crime 2 times and you'll get away with it the second time, but that's not what that means, right?
You could try it and see if that is what it means, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, so it's about a single incident of the same crime. You can only be tried for that once. Mm-hmm. Right. And that doesn't count mistrials because then they will do that over again.
Yeah, you have to actually be like found not guilty completely to be subject to the double jeopardy.
There we go. Okay.
As far as I know, not a lawyer.
Right. We don't know anything.
I also like the comments on the bottom here.
Yeah.
About that someone's got a picture of Ashley Babbitt.
Oh,
should have received the same thing what this woman got. It's a penalty for trying to overthrow the government. I like that.
And it's got a little
libs
meme.
are just becoming MAGA people. It's awesome. And then like a AI image of like a couple big burly men, traitor trash.
The comment about Ashley Babbitt has like a meme with a picture of her smiling. And it says, here's one person who won't be for Trump. Cry laughing emoji. And bottom text is, too bad more of those people didn't receive the same. It's what they all deserved. God damn, dude. How much worse would January 6th have been if they just like opened fire with machine guns? Like, yeah, I don't think we'd be having the same conversations about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of other circumstances there would have been a whole lot more of that. I'm sure that's been talked about a lot. I remember getting an argument with some guy on the internet, like right after it happened, where he was like, the Capitol Police are using their superior de-escalation training, and like they should be training like local police forces to like prevent them from overreacting to situations. And it's like, I don't think the training had anything to do with it.
Yeah. So in response to that double jeopardy comment from Connor, we got a comment from Ron who says it's not double jeopardy. They misinterpreted the court order. That being said, he served 11 months, period, space. I'm sorry to be like weird and particular about that, but I just love the way that people type on Facebook. Served 11 months, certainly not a walk in the park. But the felony charge was overturned and remaining charges, all misdemeanors, so maybe it is in the best interest of the people to move on. The people is capitalized. Like from the Constitution, right?
Yeah.
The people. There are still more fish to fry because of their despicable actions that day.
Are there? I thought they pretty much wrapped up those cases.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it to all be over, right? They got to wrap it up in time for the next one.
Well, the Kamalacrats have to keep it in the news to remind people of what happened. So this is actually, I wonder if that judge or...
They let him out by accident.
All those Kamala supporters in the Bureau of Prisons were...
I mean... Maybe. Yeah, we can speculate about a lot of motivations for why this happened. And they all make sense because America is a big mess. A big mess with conflicting motivations, all pointing to the same end. Mass death. So seeing this news about Leo Kelly did remind me about the other prominent Iowan who was involved in January 6th. And that would be Doug Jensen. And I don't think we talked about this at the time, but he actually was released from federal prison back in February. Got a Register article about that I pulled up. Yes, Doug Jensen, 44, who was described as a, quote, leader of the mob by prosecutors and officers who defended the Capitol, was transferred to a halfway home in Kansas City back in mid-January. And I think he's still there. His wife and I are mutuals on Twitter. And she posts about what's going on with him. And, the other day, let's see, he's still got like an ankle monitor on.
Yeah, his Twitter is, he's still a big Trump guy, believe it or not. Looks like he's still a big QAnon guy, too.
That's kind of why I put that link in there. Because, spending some time in federal prison, spending some time in a halfway house, being still monitored by the carceral system, doesn't seem to have reformed this man to any degree. It doesn't seem like he thinks he did anything wrong. Hasn't really changed his mind about anything. He, earlier this month, retweeted General Mike Flynn, posted, I want everyone to understand this is a fight between good and evil. Don't kid yourselves, and evil exists in our current government. Ultimately, good will prevail, but I'm warning now of an evil one-world government. Call it the kingdom of the Antichrist if you'd like. But as nation after nation falls to globalism, America is the last bastion where humanity can still thrive if we stand for liberty, basic human rights, and a just and fair rule of law. Anyway, the rest of it's kind of boring. But, General Mike Flynn is allowed to do really long, boring tweets. But Doug Jensen retweeted that, quote tweeted it rather, and said, NCSWIC. The hell is that?
I assume that's a new QAnon, some sort of statement.
Yeah, the first thing that comes up is the National Council of Statewide Interoperability Coordinators.
Oh, actually, the second result I see on, DuckDuckGo, which you should be using instead of Google.
Thank you, yes.
Is an ADL.
Of course. Yeah.
It's an ADL.org. Nothing can stop what is coming. It is a QAnon thing. But thanks to the ADL for having that out there. An organization that we all trust. It's not supporting any bad things right now. Good for the ADL.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I should have caught that because I've definitely seen plenty of people saying nothing can stop what is coming. Mm-hmm. And not sure that that's a wise thing for somebody, currently making his way out of the prison system to be sharing publicly. I don't know.
He retweeted that Elon Musk post where he said, you watched the Hunger Games and sided with the Resistance. You watched Star Wars and sided with the Resistance. You sided with the Resistance in the Matrix, whatever. V for Vendetta. When it's fiction, you understand, yet you refuse to see it when it's in the reality that you're living in. Wild.
Right. So that's how he sees himself.
Yeah.
He's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. As Elon Musk with a lot less money, but still just as resentful.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't know. Being thrown in prison didn't help. What a shock. How do we help this man?
And I also like that his wife is wife of a J6er on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I mean she's done like fundraisers and shit. Like she's constantly posting about the journey they've been on since her husband committed a stupid crime. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Capitol Police, Doug Jensen is the one who was in photos with that. He was like a black guy who's a Capitol guard or whatever. And Doug Jensen was the one who like had his arms out, sort of like trying to intimidate.
Yeah, he was like
cop.
chasing him.
Yeah. So everybody loved that cop that day, and that was that felt really good to see a cop celebration. So maybe that's speaking of cop celebration. Maybe we can talk about this Register guest opinion piece from Don Roberts. I co-chaired Nikki Haley's Iowa campaign. I am endorsing Kamala Harris. Here's the editor's note. This essay was updated to correct a misspelling created during the Register's editing process.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they're trying to sabotage Don Roberts, make it look like she can't spell. Let me read a little bit of this. I served as an Iowa State co-chair of the Nikki Haley for President campaign. I think both parties let us down by selecting two candidates for president in or near their 80s. I was at a loss. Okay, so she correctly decided not to support anyone at that moment. Then when President Joe Biden stepped down and endorsed Kamala Harris as his replacement, I decided to see who she really was. I was impressed with how she handled herself, saying that she wanted to, quote, earn everyone's support. She showed willingness to listen to a wider range of views to solve problems. So I'm supporting Kamala Harris for president. Are you impressed with a presidential candidate, Evan, who says that they want to earn everyone's support?
No, I don't think that's a good thing, actually.
There's
some people's support that you should not want and should not be seeking. I think that's like a very common thing that like liberals and some conservatives obviously believe, is that like the goal of politics is just to get everyone to agree on everything, which is like obviously never ever going to happen.
Sure.
So yeah, and it obviously Kamala Harris, like the idea of earning everyone's support probably also correlates with her rightward shift on a lot of policies on immigration, and not that she had to shift right on Israel, but she's fucking just as bloodthirsty as Biden.
And Dawn here goes over her sort of like resume as a lifelong Republican. In 1965, after she and her husband Steve were married, they both became active in the Polk County Republican Central Committee. Her husband Steve was the chair of the Republican State Central Committee for 4 years and National Committee Man for 20 years. Committee Man. Her husband died on November 7th of 2020. While I miss him every day, I'm often thankful that he didn't live to see what happened to our nation's capital on January 6th, 2021. There it goes, rearing its ugly head once again. This guy voted for Trump, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Just a little bit here. This year's Democratic National Convention was almost perfect. This is the opinion of the state chair for Nikki Haley's campaign. Co-chair. So there's not the only one. State co-chair of the Nikki Haley for President campaign in Iowa says this year's Democratic National Convention was almost perfect. How does that make you feel, Democrats?
I mean, had a bunch of Republicans on stage, so this is what they're going for. They're definitely trying to pick off the moderate 2016 Trump voters. It's the whole campaign.
Yeah. At a news conference, she said she would consider having a Republican in her cabinet. I heard her articulate that she has always brought groups of diverse individuals and opinions together to solve problems.
Yeah.
A team of rivals, huh? She's going to be just like Abraham Lincoln. So I did, actually, after this piece came out, the Register released another article. Marissa Payne wrote this. Nikki Haley's Iowa campaign co-chair is endorsing Kamala Harris for president. Here's why. It's like, do we need another article about it? Is this really that fucking important?
I mean, yeah, it is. It's, again, you gotta, there's a chance, there's a chance that she's gonna win Iowa, so, I wonder where this is actually coming from.
So I went back and looked at the numbers of the Iowa Republican caucuses. So keep in mind, the Democratic caucuses were not competitive this year. It was like very low participation because there was no point in participating. So keep that in mind. The numbers for the Iowa Republican caucuses, Donald Trump got 51% of the vote with about 56,000 votes. Ron DeSantis, second place, 21% of the vote with about 23,000 people voted for him. Huge gap there between numbers 1 and 2. And we haven't yet heard about Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley got third place with 19% of the vote, 21,000 people. Okay? And then Vivek was fourth with 7%, 8,000 people. Okay, so that's 21,000 people statewide who voted for Nikki Haley in the Republican caucuses, with no competitive Democratic caucus also. How many of those Nikki Haley voters were Democrats? Right? They're already Democrats, already were going to vote for the Democratic nominee for president.
Yeah. And there was like a whole like cycle in the media where we had to pretend that like Nikki Haley isn't also a crazy right winger. Like,
oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, like one, she's a woman, so obviously she has to have good politics. Two,
unfortunately, it's not that simple.
Come on now, it's that simple. Yeah, and she said that January 6th was bad. So like those are
sure.
Those are two. That's all it takes, really, for Democrats to support a Republican.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at is like, at most, this influences 21,000 people. But of those 21,000 people, how many of them were ever going to vote for Donald Trump in the general election?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure a couple, but yeah, those are the only 21,000 people in the entire state who actually care anything about Nikki Haley, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. And this gets two full articles in the Des Moines Register that the state co-chair of the Nikki Haley campaign has decided to endorse Kamala Harris.
Yep. And Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney. George W., I'm sure he would if it wouldn't actually hurt her chances. I guess that doesn't really apply to Cheney's logic, but George W. did endorse Hillary, didn't he? In 2016?
I don't think so.
Or he might have just like anti-endorsed Trump.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think he has explicitly endorsed anyone since leaving office. But there was a group of, it's actually mentioned in this article, at least 5 former aides to former president. Oh, no, sorry, that's HW. But there was, a few weeks ago, there was this like big group of like former Republican staffers who like endorsed people who worked for George W., John McCain, Mitt Romney. They did this open letter endorsing Kamala Harris, and it's like, who is this for? Who feels good about this? Unfortunately, a lot of people, but not me.
Yeah. Well, I think the Harris campaign would look a little different if there was like a organized leftist insurgency in the primaries. Like we had that in 2016, we had that in 2020, and
true.
Like to Biden, I mean, part of it was the pandemic too, but he actually had to try to appeal to left wingers a little bit with his like economic stuff and union stuff. But I don't see that from Kamala Harris really, like at all.
Which is a break from how she was presenting herself when she ran for president in 2020.
Yeah, right.
She was trying to appear to be the most progressive.
Yeah. And I mean, the Biden campaign was doing the same strategy of trying to win over like moderate Republicans and suburbs and all that. But like,
sure. They always do this.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I feel like the Kamala campaign is just counting on the fact that she's a woman and a minority is going to earn her a lot of votes and a lot of goodwill, like from lefty people.
Yeah.
Without having to actually have any substance behind it.
I do think it's interesting that they included this in the Register article. State Representative Austin Harris, the first Iowa elected official to endorse Haley, told the Register he is maintaining his support for Trump, as he made a pledge to my constituents that I was going to support whoever the nominee was. So this is another guy who endorsed Haley, and he specifically favors Trump's positions on securing the southern border and reducing inflation.
Yeah. Which are like, those are like the two Kamala, like those are what Kamala's like campaign has been pushing the most. Like,
yep.
Oh, and she's gonna like enshrine Roe into law, which is like, 1, not gonna happen. 2, not even good enough. Like, I don't know.
Something they already promised and failed to do.
Yeah.
More than once.
Yeah, it's just really irritating seeing people like really excited and like happy to vote for her. Like, again, we don't blame you if you do, but it's like if you're a leftist, center leftist, which like there's really nothing for you, and like
nothing of any substance.
Yeah, like the social policies that she's like pushing are like just pre-Trump but worse. Like, because again, Roe is not coming back. Supreme Court would step in. Like the only like social policy that they can really affect, I think, is going to be like through executive orders that might, slow down some of the terrible things happening in Republican states. But like,
sure.
Even then, that's going to be a challenge in courts, and there's going to be a bunch of
And the courts will not side with the executive on any of it.
Yeah, unlikely, but yeah, it's not good. Not heading towards anything good.
Yeah,
which everyone knows. But
I'm very selfish, of course. So what's really pissing me off right now is how they're handling student loans, which are about to start reporting to credit agencies again. So brace for impact. Your credit score is going into the toilet very soon if you have student loans that you have been ignoring for 5 years, like me.
Yeah.
But whatever.
You think
I don't need credit for shit.
Yeah, you're already set, man.
That's right. I have everything I need. I'm set for life. I'm talking about a podcast. That's all I need.
Yeah. Subscribe to the Patreon so Justin can continue to not pay his student loans with the money.
Keep me out of debtor's prison and fleeing the authorities. Okay, you can argue, the courts would not allow the Biden administration to forgive all of the student debt. But so much of the decisions are still, under the executive branch's control. How long to do the pause, when to stop the student loan pause. And then they've done this, year-long on-ramp thing where, the interest can't build up or something. Although I think maybe interest has started back up already. You won't go into default. You won't be reported to keep doing that. You won't be reported to credit agencies, and now that's all those protections are going away. But that's just arbitrary. You could have just done that permanently.
Yeah.
And to have it all end right before the election. What is the strategy here?
Yeah, that was the whole thing, is all the Republicans were complaining about the student loan debt thing being just a giveaway to earn votes. So, do some more of that.
Which it should have been.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly good thing to do, actually, is to, promise things to people and to earn votes. Then actually doing them is kind of a big part of that, but...
Right, exactly, yeah. But then they've twisted it into, actually being a huge negative right before the election, because everyone's gonna, who fucking knows? The student loan servicers they don't have the capacity to actually deal with this.
Yeah.
No one's called me. I haven't received any mail. I don't know if they know how to find me.
Better keep talking about it on the podcast.
I know, it's very smart of me to talk about it on an audio program that I release publicly, but whatever.
Hey, it's only 7 years before that shit falls off your report anyway. So
okay, maybe we should actually talk about something a little bit important just to close it out. I'm going to read from the Little Villages article on this. Paul Brennan just yesterday released this. LGBTQ students were taunted and harassed during Linmar's homecoming parade. And there's a lot of reporting on this because it's a huge, awful situation. But this one in particular, Paul contextualized this with what's been going on with the Linmar school district for the past few years, which is their member of Congress demonizing all of the gay and trans kids in their school system, and even escalating that to the point of Mike Pence in his foolish and doomed presidential attempt a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I guess we saw him last summer, right?
Yeah, we did. And he talked about Linmar specifically.
He mentioned this. Yeah. So for the past few years, because the Linmar school district enacted a policy of respecting children is what it boils down to, if a kid is sort of if they have pronouns, basically, it's the policy to use them.
Yeah, the policy to allow children to be individuals,
yeah,
and not property of their parents.
Right. That's unacceptable, and we need to make this a huge national scandal.
That's the issue here, is that children are the property of their parents if you're a conservative, and anything that allows them to deviate from what you want them to do is a fucking affront.
Right. And the policy, I believe, was for children in 7th grade or above. So
Yeah, kids who are old enough to know what they want and how they want to be treated, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is a major scandal. They're trying to groom your kids, says Ashley Hinson and Mike Pence. So they made this a huge problem, demonizing the school district for trying to respect their students, trying to understand, because a lot of older people they don't handle this well.
No, they don't.
when a teenager is figuring themselves out sexuality and gender wise, but they made an effort to accommodate their students who were going through this, and they were punished for making that effort. And the result now, a couple years later, is that the Spectrum group at Linn-Mar, Spectrum being a student-led group that sort of celebrates diversity and gender and sexuality.
Yeah, it's the GSA.
Right. They walked in the homecoming parade and were shouted at things like, get your queer ass out of here, and my pronouns are USA. Things like that being
That's so fucking funny.
Yelled at kids wearing rainbow
fucking losers
clothes and shit. My pronouns are USA. The thing is, so this is all coming from a Facebook post of a parent of one of the kids in the Linn-Mar Spectrum. I don't think she specifies. No, she does. Get your queer ass out of here was apparently said by a small child.
Jesus.
What the fuck?
This is Marian values coming to the forefront.
And this would not have happened a few years ago, right? Like,
no, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, there's been a coordinated effort to like rile people up.
Right. Over
nothing.
Basically, Pride became pretty much normal for a handful of years, and now we have to freak out and do a huge cultural backlash to it, which results in kids being yelled at, my pronouns are USA. Another yelled, I'm a homophobe, which just makes you seem like a fucking idiot to just yell that. I'm a homophobe.
I'm scared of you.
Dipshit. Yeah, a small but vocal group was harassing and yelling slurs at the kids in the Spectrum float. Now, the worst part of all, though, is that somebody threw a box cutter at these kids. Somebody threw a knife at a bunch of kids.
Yeah, what the fuck?
This is, and it could be worse and probably will be worse. But like, this is what you have encouraged. People like Ashley Hinson, people like Mike Pence, is throwing knives at children in a parade in public. Everyone can see, like, somebody saw someone throw a knife at a bunch of kids, right?
Yeah.
They've created an environment where somebody was comfortable enough in their bigotry to throw a knife at children.
That's so fucking crazy. And there's a picture of it, and it's like, yeah, I mean, that could do some damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a box cutter, and it was thrown open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring up something that's not funny at all at the end of the show, but like, this is more important than the stupid presidential campaign stuff we were talking about. This is, and you can compare it to the recent demonization of Haitian immigrants in Ohio. Like, if you push this stuff in the discourse, like, the result is people are going to get hurt. Real people.
Mm-hmm.
Violence is going to be done to them that is completely undeserved and should be completely out of bounds for, like, a respectable civilization. Like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah. And like, immigrants are not hurting you. These fucking kids are definitely not hurting you. Like,
yeah, it's
absolutely insane.
Well, fortunately, they set up a GoFundMe and they raised some money off of this. So, so at least there's that. But yeah, I mean, the school district has released a statement saying this is bad. We want to protect our students. I think there's like a police investigation. Who knows what'll come of that? But yeah, this is the result of trying to eliminate trans kids from your school. Is someone's going to take that rhetoric seriously? Mm-hmm. If you're convincing a bunch of people that this is a threat, then they are going to treat it as a threat at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they talk about it in, like, civilization-defining terms. like,
right.
This is the downfall of Western civilization, which we all know what that means. Don't have to say it. Do you want me to expound?
I wish it was the downfall of Western civilization.
Hey, man, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Seems like we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some really bad things happening in the Middle East right now that are kind of reflective of the death of Western civilization, perhaps.
Maybe it's a sort of desperate lashing out,
or a
flailing.
harbinger of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. There's some flailing going on for sure.
Yeah.
Amongst the powerful people in our world. Yeah.
Evil shit. Again, there is a GoFundMe, so I don't know, man. If you live in Marion and you're normal, maybe you should try to support these kids who were assaulted for no reason.
Yeah, the fucking suburbs of cities in Iowa are some of the worst places on earth. No offense if you live in a suburb, but
except Coralville. Coralville's cool.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I forgot about Coralville.
Coralville is like we're not a suburb. We're our own thing.
Yeah, it pretty much. Yeah, like I just think of Coralville, Iowa City, like it's the same thing.
Well, that's
Marion,
a mistake.
though. Sorry, but Marion, though. I've never lived in Iowa City, so I guess that's part of it. But Marion, though, that's a separate, distinct entity from Cedar Rapids, and you can feel that. You can feel that when you go there.
Yeah, you cross the border into Marion, and
because there's 400,000 cops. There's cops everywhere. The Marion police are the worst, and then like Ankeny here is like also the worst.
Yeah. Well, okay, that was Rock Hard Caucus for this week. That was our 166th episode. 66th. If you would like to call us and discuss anything that we talked about on today's episode, our number is 319-849-8733. I don't feel I was particularly articulate today, so if you could improve upon any of the things that I said, 319-849-8733 is the number. We also have a mailing address, P.O. Box 5336 in Coralville, Iowa, 52241. You can also email us at rockhardcaucus@gmail.com. All that stuff has been relegated to its own separate show now on our Patreon called Rock Hard Call Us. That's sort of our audience engagement quarantine zone. Has been for the past few weeks. So hop on there if you want to really hear that stuff. Patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. I've also got a new episode of Speed Freak Read Speak coming out in a few days. Just finished editing that, so that'll be good. And we've scheduled the next episode of Bay Not Me Slippin', our Slipknot review series. We're going to record that next week, so that'll be coming soon. We'll review their last studio album, The End So Far. If you live in or near Iowa City, there's a cool music show happening next Sunday, October 6th at Public Space 1 Close House. Sex Funeral is playing. Electro Gong from Kansas City is playing. Angle Grinder from Iowa City is playing. And a big update to that show this week, Sam Locke Ward is joining the bill. He's a kind of a DIY legend in Iowa City. He's collaborated with Jad Fair, for example. He's a big deal. You know about Jad Fair?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Oh, you don't? I'm actually surprised you don't know Jad Fair. He was in Half Japanese. It's
okay. I've heard of Half Japanese, but no familiarity with Jad Fair.
Yeah, it's sort of like an outsider art kind of thing. They're interesting. Anyway, come to that show on October 6th. It'll be a good time. Hey, campaign ads. I'm still collecting them. I've got a ton from the congressional campaigns, but it's been a challenge tracking down anything smaller than that. So if you've got like a weird guy running for sheriff in your county and he's like got a weird radio ad or something.
Oh yeah. We know they're out there. They're out there.
Please do what you can to send a copy of that to me. rockhardcaucus@gmail.com. Send in campaign ads from smaller local county races. Okay, and speaking of that show on October 6th, I'm going to close today's show with some music by Sex Funeral. Their latest release from earlier this year is an album called Broke Down Palace Zones. And let's see. I'm going to play a little bit from the closing track on that, which is called X Spicy. So here's X Spicy by Sex Funeral. And come see them live next Sunday, October 6th. All right, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Oh, wait, here. We'll end with this. It's still funny.
It's so good.